Welcome back, everybody. We are getting the rest of the seeding. You know what? I said I just can't get over this view every time I look out there. Oh, man. I love this map. Anyway, we did say that we were going to wait until tomorrow because we probably would have enough time to finish seeding the rest of the map tomorrow, but I wanted to make sure of that, so instead of waiting until tomorrow and maybe not finishing, or, perhaps just getting the, if we had a breakdown or anything, we want to make sure that we finish this all right now. So let's just get done what we can right now, and then we won't have to worry about maybe pushing it so hard tomorrow. And I think that's probably the wisest decision to do. It's what you have to do in real life when you have good weather and it is good. It's the time to see the soil temperatures well enough. You got to go because you just never know with the weather. And yeah, I did say that I would talk about organics, and I don't know where to start. I was talking with my cousin the other day about different things you can do to transition, and well, like the first thing you learn is you can't do a normal corn, soybeans, corn, soybeans, corn, soybeans rotation because without synthetic inputs, you do not have enough nutrients. It doesn't build the soil properly. And that's one of the things that you really have to do when you run an organic farm. You have to make sure that you're properly building up the soil. Otherwise, well, you're going to destroy your soil and the crops aren't going to be worth anything. And I don't know, it's just... like I said, I don't know where to start. There's so many. Well, first of all, the first thing you have to do is figure out a rotation. So say you do corn, soybeans, and then something lighter like wheat. And the transition period is pretty crazy, first of all. And I don't claim to know everything about it, but let's see, hold on, let's get turned around here. I think if we leave a little bit there for the end row going that way, or the edge of the field, that'll be easiest than trying to run through the hedge there. So let's just try to turn here, and we're probably gonna have to back in there again. I think this will be the last end row on this side, so we won't actually need the marker down. We'll have to put that up as soon as we drop it. Oops, wrong way there. Let's back up and a little bit closer. I think we can get a little bit closer there. Alright, let's crank it that way just a little bit. And there we go. So now, that's probably close enough. So let's raise that marker, and I think we're close enough back there. Let's raise that marker and we'll just drive and talk. Oh, like where to start? Well, so you can't use... the transition time period is 36 months without any prohibited substances, and you have to use all non-GMO crops in there because you have to be non-GMO to be organically certified. So any GMO in there resets the clock, basically. And, you have to even think about things like, well, for example, manure. Since you can't use artificial fertilizers, you basically have to use manure, especially if you're doing corn in there. Now, if you're doing another crop other than corn, so say you're an organic farmer somewhere else where you don't have a corn, crop in your rotation, you might not have to do this. I don't know enough about it, but I do know for corn, your biggest source of nitrogen is going to be coming from the manure, and so you got to have some manure in there. Now, you don't have to use organic manure. You don't have to use organic manure from organic dairy farm or organic pigs or anything like that, but you do have to make sure that if there is any, so for example, if they do something like straw bedding for their pigs, you have to, let's see, so now we have to figure out, one second, I'll get back to that. We have to figure out how we're going to plant this field. I've been planning it where I think I'm going to do the end rows, what is that, north to south? That is east to west. I was thinking about doing it east to west, but I don't know. Maybe it's better to do it north to south. Where are our longest rows? Where are we going to have to minimize our turning around on? I don't know. I I think the way I planted the end rows, it's going to be east to west. So let's set up GPS to go east to west. And these first few rows are going to be really, really short. But let's set up GPS right now. And then we'll get talking about organics again. So we are at 6 meters. We want to set a new path. And then we want, I guess that's good right there. And we can make it invisible. We don't need the line, and we will get rid of that. So, there we go. We have the GPS set up now. And, let's see, so what was I saying? This is going to be hard to turn around in. Well, maybe not. Yeah, we have enough room there, as I think. Kind of gotta... There we go. Alright, gotta drop it a little bit early for the... And this is where... So if you ever have to do like this is where, if you have GPS and the automatic shutoff, this is where it really comes in handy. You know, if you think about doing this across the entire field, the rows up here, for example, they aren't going to be planting yet because they recognize that they're already over this other crop. And, of course, you have to drop the planter and start planting back here because of the angle. And you're going straight. So you waste a lot less seed, and it might not sound like much, but I remember, like, I was just talking with another farmer just the other day from back in Illinois, and he said that, like, the first season that they switched to GPS, I think that they had, with the automatic shutoff, he said that, like, they had, like, 36 extra bags of seed left over that he could return, and those are, what am I? $100 a pop, something like that. I forget what the price was, you know, back then, but it's an amazing difference. It makes a huge difference. And I think I might have said this before, but the statistics say, the research shows that GPS will increase your yield something, let's see, what were the numbers? I believe it's 5%. And then if you have something called variable rate seeding, okay, so we'll get back to organics, but since we are seeding, I'll talk about this first. The variable rate seeding. I did discuss soil types. If you remember, what was that? I believe that was last episode. No, 2 episodes ago. I discussed compaction and erosion, and when I was talking about erosion, I was talking about different soil types. And so, since you have different soil types, so for example, I think, don't quote me on this, but I believe our 2 most common soil types are silty loam and sandy loam. It's all loam, but different seeding population rates do better in each soil type. And by that I mean, I always forget the population rates. I'm not good at remembering numbers. I have to write everything down. So this might be off, but I believe for corn it's something like 30,000 to 36,000 seeds per acre that you are dropping down. And of course it's all measured out and spaced. It's not just like random throwing them out, but that's the population that you want. However, during certain soil types, so for example, you might get a better yield with some soil types at 30,000 and then another soil type at 36,000 seeds per acre, and then another soil type maybe 40,000, another seed type maybe 28,000 seeds per acre. Those are a little bit exaggerated to prove the point, but the difference is you not only save on seed costs, but you get better yields because some soil types just don't do as good with the corn. So, with the corn, with so many seeds per acre, basically. So that's something to consider and think about. And we will raise there. So having GPS really helps with that. You could really not do that without GPS because then you're just guessing where your soil maps are. On the modern tractors, you can, they've got like a map of your field, and it knows exactly where those soils are. And you know what? I should try to grab a map of our soils on a field, but it's not pretty. It's like, so for example, I'll just pull this up. And let's actually go to, you know what, let's go to the menu so we can see it. So for example, like on our field type, it might be something like one soil type. So it might be something like one soil type in this area along the top edge, and then along the bottom part of the field, it might be another soil type. So it's not like you can just do like, okay, well, we'll do one population on this side of the field and then another on this side. It's, you know, it changes almost every pass in a lot of places, depending on the soil and depending on the field. And that's something that without GPS, without a soil map inside your tractor, you just can't do. So that's something that saves money. And what was I talking about? I forgot how I got on that tangent from organics, but when you switch to organics, there's a lot of prep work and a lot of knowledge in the soil you have to do. You can't just call a truck to come spray your crops whenever you need it. Actually, where are we gonna, let's see. I think the easiest thing here, no, I think we can squeeze 6 more meters on that slope. I'm trying to, maybe? I think we can. You'll see what I mean when I spin around. But we're gonna have to go down here a ways to be able to catch that next path over. And let's get on the GPS lined up. And yeah, there we go. So we got it. And we're gonna have to drop in a little bit more. There we go. So one of the things is, like, oh my god. So I was talking about, right, so since you can't just call a sprayer, soybeans, for example, have typically a pretty bad problem with weeds, or at least more so than corn, because soybeans are, right, lower, and they don't shade the weeds out as much. So unless you nip the weed problem in a bud, or don't have any weed seeds in your soil, then you're gonna have a problem with weeds with soybeans. So if you can't spray, then that means you have to go through there and mechanically cultivate. Otherwise, you're gonna have sections of the field that you basically can't run the combine through because the weeds have overtaken it. And so that's a lot of extra mechanical cultivation. And I was talking with a cousin who was like, well, what do you do with soil erosion? Because I was talking about, in the previous episode, if you cultivate your field and you don't do no-till, you be sure to check out that. It was 2 episodes ago. I'll try to remember to put a link to there if you want to hear more about that discussion. But there's a lot you can do to minimize soil erosion with the soil types that we have in the Midwest that love to just run off the field. And part of that is no-till. However, you can't really do no-till with organics. I asked him about that, and he's like, well, you're kind of talking about the golden combination there. If you can get the yields of organic but not have to do full tillage and save on soil erosion, that's like what everybody's trying to experiment and figure out how to do right now. And one of the things that he did last year was, this sounds completely crazy, he planted ryegrass in the fall. He let it grow really high, and he sent me a picture. He let it grow really high, and then he planted, I believe he said he planted into it with his planter, and then he crimped it afterwards. So that way, basically, it crimps the rye and kills it, and then you have basically a mulch of the ryegrass that prevents any weeds, and then you have the soybeans emerge, and they basically take over because there's no weeds. And because there's no weeds and the weeds kind of stay suppressed, it lets the soybeans take over. And he said, like, he didn't have to mechanically cultivate his crops once, and that's amazing. That'd be great for even organic, or that'd be great for even conventional crops. And that's why indeed a lot of farmers, even conventional farmers, are using cover crops. There's different results, and so, oh my goodness, it's so complex. He was talking about even ryegrass. I was asking him, like, what type of ryegrass you use, and there's different varieties of ryegrass, and you can use different types of cover crops that might be better at getting rid of weeds, but they don't really do as much for soil nutrition. right? So they're not really green manure, but they are a cover crop to mitigate your weed control. And I don't know, it's so incredibly fascinating, the different things you can do with, you know, the different experimentation you can do. And so, like, and so he even said there's like 3 different ways to do it. You can plant the rye, and then you can plant into the rye when the rye is still fully standing, right? And I forget how many feet tall it is, but you know, it's kind of seems crazy planting into a field with standing rye, but then you go through later, like basically right afterwards, and crimp the rye and push it down. And the alternative is you can crimp the rye first, and then you can plant afterwards. And when I say crimping, imagine, let's see, what's a good analogy here? Imagine imagine something like a wooden pencil. This is, no, that's not. Imagine imagine a spaghetti noodle, right? So the spaghetti noodle, if it's hard and uncooked, it's going to snap when it's bent over. And it's going to snap, and then it's basically going to die, because it's not going to come back up to the surface. So you have to wait until the rye is a certain stage in its growth, and then and only after that point will it snap and die. You know, it's crimping basically. So you run this, I don't know, big heavy wheel essentially over the field, and it folds over the rye to a point where it snaps. But if you do it too early, then the rye will not snap, and it'll basically spring right back up. And that's one of the things that he said, you know, it's just fascinating. Whoops, didn't mean to hit the fence there. It's fascinating to think about, you know, if you think about the things you have to think about in the spring, you have to consider the soil temperature and the, what is wrong? Well, it appears that my pedal just kind of stopped working. So this is going to be, no? Okay, now it works. Well, that was really weird. It was, that's got to be a problem with, that's got to be a glitch then. Hold on, it's not working again. Nope, I don't see any errors. Yeah, see there, it's not working again. Well, we'll just use the automatic gas. Oh, now my steering wheel's not working. Whoa. Okay, so there's something kind of going on weird here. I guess I will finish the rest of this episode with mouse and keyboard and then try to figure out what's going on. That's kind of weird. That is unfortunate. It seems to work sometimes, and it seems to work... It doesn't seem to work other times. I don't understand that. I forgot to lower my planter. It's a little bit... My side console still works. It's just the wheel and my pedal that don't seem to work. But I don't get it, because sometimes it does work. Oh well. We will skip that and figure that out later. Yeah. Oh well. Alright, the sun's going down. We've got a lot to do. I was talking about... What was I talking about? Yeah, so for a normal planting season, conventional crops, you have to wait until the ground warms up to a certain temperature. You have to try to plan out to plant early, but obviously you don't want the ground frozen and too cold, and you have to plan around the weather and the rain and like the soil temperature, right? That's the important thing, especially for corn, but soybeans too. And part of the problem, you know what, let's just make this nice and wide. Let's give ourselves plenty of room to turn around. Especially since Fritz does not have a good turning, Frederick does not have a good turning radius. Fritz does, Frederick does not. Anyway, yeah, there's various other factors that you need to worry about when planting in the spring conventional crops. But if you have something like a cover crop, then you not only have to wait for those other factors, but then you have to wait for when the rye is ready. And then you have to try to plan that around the weather and the soil temperature and the time of the season. It can be kind of a complicated nightmare trying to wait for that sweet spot. And yeah, it's kind of tough, because then you have to get in the field and you have to crimp the rye. before you plant, or you have to crimp it almost immediately after you plant. And the alternative is, he actually said a couple guys wait until basically the soybeans emerge. Like, I forget what growth stage, but it's stage 2, I think he said. It's pretty late, it feels, in growth stage 2, and you run through and you crimp the rye. But of course, at that point, it will not hurt the soybeans. It's kind of scary, but at that point, it should not hurt the soybeans, because they'll spring right back up based on the same principle that I was explaining with the ryegrass, right? You have to wait until it gets to a certain growth stage, and then you crimp it, and it won't snap, and it won't spring back up. And he said it has something to do with, what did he say? The reason why you wait is like the compression that you do with the plant, it helps it in some way. I forget exactly what that is, but I'm just checking my wheel. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with my wheel, but it appears dead in the water. My side console's still working just fine. Let's lower and take off. And anyway, I think that, let's just look at that beautiful view. So that's a lot of interesting stuff that I was talking about. Sorry if it's a little bit muddled, and it's hard to think about something that complicated, especially when I don't know it. I just am kind of regurgitating what I've recently read on the internet and what my cousin has told me. I don't know it in my heart, and you know, I haven't done it myself, so it's kind of hard to remember all of the different factors. But it's a complicated thing, organics in real life, but it's fun. And the reason why I'm so excited about it is because it feels, I don't know, like, how awesome would that be to have a job where you get to think about all of those crazy factors, right? And figure out and make small adjustments and make small improvements and experiment and find things that work, find things that don't work, and, you know, basically continually refine your craft. And I think that'd be one of the best jobs in the world, and indeed that's what a lot of people love about farming. And you get to do that with organic farming. With conventional crops, it's basically an open and closed book. There are a lot of ways to innovate still, but it's a lot different with organics. And you have to, you know, you can't just pick up the phone and call a sprayer. You have to understand your soil, what's going on with the soil, and why you might have, whoa, what is, oh, that was weird. Okay, yep, sorry about that. I thought I could use my wheel, but I could not. Now I'm just pressing all kinds of buttons. I thought I could use my wheel that time, but I just gotta set it off on the side, because there's something seriously wrong with that. I don't know. It's working sometimes and sometimes it's not. I don't understand it. But anyway, I can't, you know, if my wheel was working, I would finish out this episode with a cinematic, but instead, I was trying to figure out how to use my mouse, keyboard, and my side console, and it's just a little bit too much at the moment. So I don't think I'll finish with a cinematic, but I do think that I will leave you guys right here. It's a little bit shorter of an episode, but it's really not very much fun to play without a steering wheel when you're used to a steering wheel. And yeah, you might be saying like, oh, rich person problems or something like that, but it's really hard when you've been playing with the steering wheel for so long and then you just can't anymore. So let's actually get the rest of our lights on there. But whoops, I think I meant to press that one. I'm just not used to my keyboard. That's the other thing of it. I use my keyboard for a few things, but see, I got everything down if it was on the side console and steering wheel, but I'm just not used to the button combinations with keyboard and mouse. It's just a little bit different, and oh man. Anyway, I think that I will probably finish up this field off screen, and then I will resume tomorrow with planting. Well, not tomorrow. So this is Wednesday's episode. I will resume with Friday's episode, planting the rest of the seasons. Planting the rest of the field. We'll probably start out with a cinematic, and I will see you guys then. So I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion about organics, and I do again apologize if it was a little bit muddied water. It's hard to think and operate a tractor and discuss things that you have just recently learned, and you don't really even know them that well because you haven't done them yourself in real life. Anyway, it's a fascinating topic, organic, and yeah, I look forward to learning more about organic and probably converting my parents' farm to organic. The good news is it does look like I'll be able to, once it's fully converted, and once you figure out what you're doing, it does look like small farms can be very profitable switching to organics. And you know, it's kind of a good thing to do, because big farmers, they probably have to, you know, they already have enough to worry about. And I don't know if they could feasibly switch to organics, because they already have to do a lot of labor over a lot of acres, and their profit per acre is just not near as much. So they're doing a lot more work and time investment. Yeah, they have more acres, but they kind of don't really have time to mess with organics unless they hire out someone else to do it. And I'm sure there's a lot of big farmers that are thinking about it, or, you know, experimenting with the small amount of their acres on the side. But it is a thing right now that a lot of small farms can do and really make some money. So I'm excited about that, to start that transition and learn more about organic farming. And I will definitely share more of that knowledge as I continue to learn it. But anyway, until next time, is this another goodbye? Have I might as well finish the field at this point on camera. No, I think I'll let you guys go. I think I'll let you guys go. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed my rambling. And indeed, you guys, every time I question it, you guys always say that you do enjoy my rambling. So that's encouraging. And I thank you guys for watching and listening and all that you guys do as excellent viewers. I appreciate you all, and I thank you for tuning in to this episode. Thanks again. Have a great day, and I think that should be everything. Oh, goodbye, pretty car. That's a nice little, is that a minivan or an SUV? Anyway, see you guys later. This is just, you know, I don't know. I like looking at the scenery on this map so much, and the tractor. Everything's just so pretty. I don't want to make you guys go away, because then you won't be able to watch the pretty tractor and the pretty lighthouse in the background, and the pretty trees, and the skyline, I guess. Is it called the skyline without a city? Yeah, it's still called the skyline, because it's the line where the sky meets the ground. Anyway, I am done rambling. Thanks for watching. For real this time, this is the Sim Station signing off. Goodbye. And again, real quick, one last thing. Remember to check out the modding mania for FSUK. I'm going to have tutorials on making a map. I cannot help you if you're making a mod, but if you are making a map, don't be scared. I highly recommend that you, if you are creative at all, if you like building things in the slightest, I highly recommend that you check out my tutorial or others and start building the map. It's a lot of fun, and it can be very rewarding. And it's a pretty cool skill to teach yourself to do. At the very least, you'll learn enough that you can edit other people's maps to your liking. And yeah, I mean, that's a valuable skill to have, because I don't know one map out there that has been designed to perfectly how I like it. This map's pretty close, but as you can see, like, I added steel bins up there on my farm. I added extra storage shed outside. I added another shed outside. You know, I added holes in the hedgerows, and you know, no map is perfect for everybody, and that's not the fault of the map maker, obviously. But if you learn how to edit things for your own private use, at the very least, you will be able to do that, and that's a pretty cool skill to have. So finally, this time, guys, really, I'm saying goodbye and good night. It's getting really dark out here, so thanks a lot. Have a great day, night, or morning, whatever time of day it is for you. And thanks a lot. Bye-bye.